Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome to session number 1 of what I am referring to as the Ready Persona 1 tabletop campaign. This is a very exciting time. It is my penultimate tabletop campaign that I'm hosting on my channel, which is number 9. And I'm very excited to kick things off. Now, for those of you who are just joining us now for the very first time, if you are at all curious as to how these fine, handsome faces ended up in the campaign, we went through a whole audition/interview process. I have a playlist of that down below if you'd like to check that out. It is totally optional, but if you are very curious, you can check that out. The other thing I will point out is that we have had a session -1 where all of the players got together and tried to figure out what the actual setting is for the campaign and some other details of that nature, and a session 0 where we were sort of doing some very preliminary get to know the players, started doing some icebreaker questions, and actually dove into some canon role-playing with their virtual characters. So if you want to get the full story, I would recommend that at minimum you go back and check out session 0. But for today, for session 1, we're going to start with, what do we normally start with for any of you who've seen my other campaigns?
Origin stories.
Yes, but before the origin stories,
Initiative?
what do we do before every single session begins?
Torturing
the
us with
cards.
questions.
What is it, Ethan?
Torturing us with questions.
It's a warm-up question, not a torturous question.
What is your character most afraid of?
Yeah.
20 sessions later.
Would never use that against you. Warm-up questions. For those of you who do not know what that is, I like to ask warm-up question, which is a question designed to help all of you start to get into character. Sometimes I ask questions that get you thinking about things about your character, aspects of your character that you may have not really thought about as much before. Sometimes it's a way of sort of bringing something up about your character or what they're thinking in that moment or how they're feeling in that moment that may not necessarily come up in organic role-playing. So, and the questions can either be in character or out of character. So for today's warm-up question, I'm going to keep it relatively simple and ask you all as players, what are aspects of yourself that you sort of put into your characters? I know that your character is not supposed to be you personally, and it's probably more fun for them to be very different from you. But at least for me, when I'm creating characters, there's normally like 1 or 2 aspects of them that I sort of at least relate to, that I kind of use as my gateway or my doorway into the character as I'm trying to roleplay them, as sort of like my anchor. So yeah, with either of your characters, your virtual or your non-virtual characters, what are aspects of them that you feel like you connect with out of character?
I actually find that Chrono is pretty easy to roleplay for me in that I think the personality matches my own better. Just kind of bold, confident, kind of upfront. Cade is definitely far more difficult. And I would not say there's a ton I relate with Cade on as a personality, but like an inner child. There's like I relate on the inner child aspect to him. And that's probably my best answer for him. He's a toughie for me.
So for Ave, it's probably first of all his love for accents. It's something that I share with him really deeply, and then his desire to be himself. Just the individuality he thinks is really important, and that's something that I really think is important as well. Just the option to be whoever you want to be and don't get judged by whoever is around you. It's really, really important. And then for Nave, it's probably the fact that he loves it when people enjoy things that he's doing. like a little bit of show off, but in a not in a negative way. Like just the fact that he sees people smile when the things that he's doing are like fitting in what people like.
For one, when it comes to Odin, it's definitely confident. Like normally, if I do not know usually someone, I'm very closed off. But with my closest friends, I am very confident, out there, bombastic. Maybe not to the same extreme as Odin, but I think I like to put that into a lot of my characters, where to get comfortable with people, especially like people like Odin, I give them that confidence, that silliness to just go out and just put themselves out there, which kind of like puts it with me when I'm with my friends. And I think with Gabriel, it's kind of almost the same thing, although his positivity is more around a little less, because I kind of make them as they're somewhat similar in their kind of positivity, but his is more on like the way he dresses and all that stuff. And I'm usually not the best at I don't care about what I look like usually when I walk out. So I think that's definitely the kind of confidence me and Gabriel have in common.
I identify much more with Forest than Yellow. So the thing with a lot of my characters, as you said earlier, Hark, you base like one or two aspects of their personality off of something that you have in your core, and then you'll build from there. I do that as well. But I don't usually use one or two. I'll use a plethora, maybe 4 or 5. And with Forest, that love of music definitely is one of them. Very, not necessarily true pacifist, but pacifism. And Forest's just overall warm, good nature. And part of that anxiety as well. Our forms differ a little bit, but it was something I wanted to put in there because especially some things that we might actually get into today with origin stories.
Due to personal reasons, Dan stated that he unfortunately could no longer participate in the campaign after session 1. We definitely will miss playing with Dan and wish him well in his future gaming. Well, you all said it. Let's dive into some origin stories. So, everyone roll initiative, please. So exciting. The first...
Wait, initiative for who?
Forest.
Initiative for your... Very good question. Initiative for your real life characters.
All right.
Your RL characters. Thank you for specifying.
Yeah, it's getting difficult.
Actually, and while you're doing that, I almost forgot as well.
The Major Arcana?
The Major Arcana. So again, for those of you who are watching, I had gotten every single character or every single player a tarot deck. And at the beginning of every single session, I will ask the players to draw randomly a card from their Major Arcana deck, and they will gain special effects throughout the session. So, who would like to go ahead and draw first and show me what card they've got?
The world.
The world.
That is my
Nice.
card.
I'm just going to assume.
Ooh.
That's a great card for today. So the world means if you are Forest, which you are not, but if you were Forest, you would get +2 to all of your rolls for the rest of the session, which is a fantastic bonus. However, since you are not Forest, any interactions that you have with Forest, any checks that you have that relate to Forest, you can have a +2 bonus on.
Sounds good.
So that may or may not come into play today. We shall see. That is a card that you must have in effect for this session. Normally you get a choice whether you can hold it into your hand or not. Because this is a relatively powerful card, this is a card that you will have to have active and put back into your primary Arcana deck at the end of the session.
Okay.
Ooh, I might need to go next too because I pulled the Devil.
Nice.
Which is Dan's card, right?
Dan's card. Yes. So again, you get +2 in all rolls whenever you interact with Jack or Baco. If you have any rolls that you want to draw with Jack.
Are we all gonna pull each other's cards now?
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
That'd be really interesting.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
I'm going. Yeah,
Oh,
counts.
Oh,
No,
right.
you go.
I got the Hierophant.
Oh, nice. So let me read the Hierophant. That's new for you all. So first of all, you get without naming the person yet, you get a +2 bonus on any interactions with the head of the Cups faction, the Confederate of Cups, whoever that person is, which whom I haven't specified yet. So that's one. In addition to that, you will gain a free use of extra effort of resistance.
Have the
Heart of the cards.
strength.
Strength. Okay.
Ooh.
Awesome. Strength gives you a +2 bonus when you're interacting with whoever is the head of the Confederacy of Swords. In addition to that, you gain the ability to use the extra effort strength for free. Surprise, surprise.
Never saw it coming.
Also, before I get into the origin stories proper, allow me to reiterate for the viewers who have not heard this yet a little bit of the lore of the world. So, in this world, the city that everybody is in is the city of Arcadia. The planet that our campaign is taking place on is the planet of Eden. The actual virtual game system that everybody participates in is called VITA, V-I-T-A, which stands for Virtual Ingenuity of Technology and Arcana. They are actually about to celebrate their 20th year anniversary of being online. The name of the virtual city is Sisao, S-I-S-A-O City. And the most interesting thing about the city of Arcadia, which is the real world, the real life world, is that there are 4 different factions in this world. There is the Confederacy of Swords, which is the military, the government, law enforcement. The Confederacy of Wands, which are scholars, wizards, and engineers. The Confederacy of Coins, which is business, merchants, and nobles. And the Confederacy of Cups, which are clergy, socialites, culture, and the arts. There is also members of what is pretty much going to be called the factionless groups, which are mostly outcasts, homeless people, vagabonds, things like that nature. Every single one of the PCs are associated to a specific faction, not necessarily because they share the ideals of said faction, but it's just because of their circumstances they are somehow connected to them. Cade, as somebody who is currently incarcerated, is part of the law enforcement branch, therefore he is under Confederacy of Swords. As one of the main programmers of the Vita game itself, Gabriel is in the Confederacy of Wands. Ave, since his family is a businessman, merchants, he is under Confederacy of Coins. And Forrest, as a orchestra teacher, that is falls under arts, they are under the Confederacy of Cups. To begin, who got the highest initiative out of you 4, just out of curiosity?
If we are considering advantages, I got a 23. I have some advantages that boost my initiative.
Okay, got it. Let me start with Cade. So, oh boy, we're starting with this one.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
But on your serious
There you go.
notes, guys.
Okay, here we go. Cade, you are 8 years old. This is 11 years ago. You wake up from a very uncomfortable sleep/nap. The air is dry. You are not on a comfortable bed. You're actually on a very cold, dusty stone floor. And it is pitch black. You wake up very confused, very disoriented. You're not sure where you are, why you're here. You're just in this dark, uncomfortable space. What are you doing? What's going through his head, etc., etc.? Your name? It's your last name that you gave yourself, right? So Cade is sort of like a name that somebody gave you at some point, or did you give yourself that name?
Yeah,
I'm
so
curious about that.
At the orphanage, I'm just called Cade. At this point, I wouldn't be chaos.
Gotcha. Okay.
Standing up, shivering. It's cold. Don't have a blanket.
Don't have a blanket.
I want to explore the room, but I want to do it quietly. I don't want any floorboards to creak. I don't want anybody to know I'm awake.
You're going... roll me a 1d4. Roll me a 1d4. I'm just curious.
I got a 3.
Okay. So you're feeling around, and you immediately realize that the space you're in is very tight. Like, about... You can probably barely fit 2, maybe 3 very small children in this space. It's very, very tight and very dark. And it is at that moment that you remember why you're here. This is actually a punishment. So you remember now that while that earlier that morning, you were trying to fetch a teacup for one of the heads of the orphanage. So the people who run this orphanage is a old dwarven couple by the names of Dennis and Grella Merkbottom. You were trying to fetch a teacup for Dennis for his morning coffee, and you accidentally dropped it and it shattered into pieces on the floor. And so Dennis was ticked off, pretty much like grabbed you very roughly by the wrist and like dragged you into has anybody seen the movie Matilda? And you know how they have the chokey in Matilda, which is this really like I think it's a pretty horrific looking like closet with like these nails, these big nails that are like punched in. It looks like that. So that's where you're in, and you've kind of been there. I guess you ended up dozing off because you were in there for a while. Because of course that's equal. Punishment fits the crime, however long in the chokey. But yeah, that's why you're there. You remember now.
You would think that Cade would want to call out, but he has in the past and only makes things worse. But he starts shaking, and he starts crying, and he calls out, but silently, quietly, "Help, help, help." He wants to put his fingers underneath the door and just for something, he wants to feel the touch of maybe another one of the kids there. He doesn't know what time it is, so he kind of puts his fingers underneath the door, and his hand trembles as they're beneath there. And when presumably no one comes, he'll just make his way over to a corner and just shake and scratch and shake.
You do just that. You go into a corner and you just wait in silence. You're not sure how much more time passes. Could have been a few minutes, could have been another couple hours, who knows? But eventually, you do start hearing some heavy footsteps coming towards the door of the chokey. And you then hear a rather scruff voice say, "You still in there, boy?"
Yeah.
You sorry for what you did?
Yeah. It won't happen again.
Oh, dear boy, I hope you're not lying to me. You know that I don't like it when people lie to me just so that they can get themselves out of... All right.
I'm sorry. It won't happen again. I promise.
There's a little bit of a pause, and then you'll start to hear the rustling of a chain of some sort, and then you hear the sound of a key being fit into a lock. The bolt opens, and then the door, a very heavy door, starts to open, and you can see standing before you Dennis Merkbottom He's got a coffee mug in his hand. Gives the coffee mug a sip, very casually. And then he just looks at you and he just gives you a grin and says, "Well, I was planning on keeping you there for a little longer, but today's a special day for you. So, I can see from your face that you're very sorry for what you did. So I decided to give you a little bit of mercy."
Thank you, sir.
All right. Get up. And again, he'll grab your wrist and, not as forcibly as he did before that morning, but he'll pick you up and then, he'll, take you out of the closet. The lights of the room immediately hit your eyes, and it blinds you temporarily as he starts to adjust everything. All of the silhouettes of other people. You actually see that there are several other children who are have gotten in line, and basically Dennis will nudge you to file in at the end of the line of the kids.
I'll go into the line. I imagine it's not my first time, and I'll be kind of pulling my raggedy shirt down over my scratches, trying to look as presentable as I can.
Dennis is right. This is a very special day for you, because in this orphanage, the orphanage obviously has kids of different ages, and you had, for the longest time, have kind of stayed with the younger kids of the orphanage, but once you reach a certain age of maturity, for humans it's 8 years old, so today actually is your 8th birthday, but there are no cakes, there's no presents, there's none of that. Instead, you get to experience something a little bit different as a newly 8-year-old child. You get to do what the big kids get to do. Now, during the day, the older kids, they go off somewhere, and nobody really questions where they go, because the kids never answer. For whatever reason, whenever they go somewhere, they do not seem inclined to tell anybody where they've been. All they say is that they were helping Dennis and Grella. And today you'll discover for the very first time where all these older kids are going during the day, because they're out for several hours at a time.
I have a bunch of wild imaginings. I've seen them leave so many times that, they must go to the lake. They must fish. Oh man, I bet they go cliff jumping. Oh man, I wonder if they ride horses. I have all these things, but let's find out what it really is.
Yeah. So you're in line, and the person right in front of you is another child, not human. This child is actually a child named simply as V, and they are a tabaxi. And a tabaxi, if you do not know, in D&D lore, is a cat person, a humanoid cat. This tabaxi is maybe only a couple years older than you, and she doesn't really talk much or socialize much with the other kids. So even though you probably are fully aware of who she is, I don't say that you've necessarily had a particularly long conversation with her, more than a few sentences. But you'll be right behind her. She'll glance at you and she'll sort of say, "Hi, first time."
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. I'll kind of look down at her feet.
"You must have been really curious about what us bigger kids are up to all day," she says. "What do you think it is?"
I think you guys go to the lake.
That's a good thought. Do you like swimming?
I don't know.
Well, I'm not particularly fond of the water.
Sorry, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm only 2 years older than you, I think. You're 8 now, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, I'm only 10. No need to call me ma'am.
What should I call you?
Just call me V. Some of the kids around here call me Pawsy. she says, and she sort of like licks her paws a little bit.
Okay, V. Yeah. I'm Cade.
I know who you are, kid, she
Sorry.
says. She starts to like talk some more, and then Dennis says, "All right, fall in. Let's all go." And we have a new person joining us, so I want you all to make him feel welcome. He belches.
Hi.
The kids look at you, and some of them give you a smile, like, "Oh, look, Cade's joining us this time." Yeah, like, I guess some of the kids, some of them like you just fine, others tend to keep them to themselves, but yeah, so you end up following this line, and they take you to this adjoining building, relatively large building next to the orphanage. And I mean, you've seen this building before, but you weren't really sure what the purpose of that building was. And as soon as you get into that building, you see that there are, on one side, there's sort of like a greenhouse, and in the greenhouse, they seem to be growing some type of plants. You're not really exactly sure, but there are basically like walls that are filled with jars, label jars. There's like a kitchen section where they have some empty bottles, and they've got you can also smell the sour smell of vinegar. And you'll learn that the kids are sort of like have a job to do. They're put to work. They are making pickled bitterroots. So, kids are like taking the bitterroot, they're harvesting the bitterroot, or they're like tending to the garden of bitterroot in the greenhouse. They're putting them into this substance, this really like sour, vinegary substance, to start pickling them, canning them. Your job is to basically take the canned jars of bitterroot and just polishing them with these rags, just polishing them. Out of character, this is a sweatshop for the kids, because you don't get getting paid for this at all. V has been put in charge of sort of like, since she's been doing this for a couple years, she's sort of been put in charge to just kind of watch you and like make sure that you're doing your job right. I mean, your job is very simple. Polishing jars isn't the biggest deal, but somebody's got to do it, and you're 8 years old, so they might as well start you off doing that. Is there anything that you say or do while you're going through this, and V's just sort of like watching you?
I don't want to make eye contact with her, and I am polishing. I want to make sure she sees I'm working, but I do want to be I like your toe.
V sort of like looks at you, and she sort of smiles a little bit and says, "Thanks. I like your elbow," she says very awkwardly.
Thanks. So it's not the lake. Do you like it here?
I mean, it gives me something to do.
Yeah.
I guess as far as work goes, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. What's your plan? What are you gonna do when you get out?
She like looks at you very oddly. When I get out?
Yeah.
Kate, there's no getting out of here.
Yeah, I was kidding. Go back to rubbing.
She sort of like looks at you very curiously, and she says, "Why, have you thought about?"
No. I like it here.
Good, she says, because thoughts like that can drive you mad.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what the bigger kids say.
Yeah. I was just, like I said, just kidding.
She like looks at you a little bit thoughtfully, and she's sort of like examining your work, and she's looking at it, and she says, "You missed a spot, Cade."
Sorry, ma'am. I mean, and get it again.
When you do that, she takes a look and says, "They may be old, but Dennis and Grella, they have a good attention to detail. Everything needs to be perfect in order for them to be sold properly to the customers.
Yeah.
When you're done your job, the kids again fall in line, and you'll all line up, and you'll start making your way back to the house, and by that time it'll be like supper, and you'll be fed some sort of gruel. I think, not sure if today is gray stuff with brown sauce or brown stuff with gray sauce. Not really sure, but
Brown sauce or brown stuff with gray sauce is my favorite.
Okay, that is your favorite. I love it. And while you're finishing up your supper, Grella Merkbottom is sort of like walking amongst the kids right now. And, she's just sort of eyeing everybody, just making sure the kids are behaving.
If I'm eating and I sense her presence behind me, I would literally just freeze until she walked past more, and then I would continue eating.
Grella will, when she passes by you, she'll notice that you freeze a little bit, and then she'll start to step back towards you, and then from behind you, she'll say, "Cade, it's your birthday today?"
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, happy birthday. Did Dennis have a very special job for you?
Mm-hmm, yeah. I gotta polish bottles.
I see. I see that you're done with your dinner. Without even saying anything, she sort of nods her head towards a door outside of the not the cafeteria, but the dining area, which motions you to follow her.
And I'll do so, kind of keep my head down, but also trying to watch for her body communications.
You'll follow her, and you go off into a side room, and she's sort of is starting to pace back and forth across the room, and she says, "1 whole year older, Cade. 1 whole year older, and you're becoming a very, very capable, strong young man," she says, and she takes her bony finger, and she sort of does this against your cheek, very creepily and uncomfortably.
Frozen, like ice.
She sort of grabs a hold of your chin and sort of lifts your face up to her so that she can look deep into your eyes. And she says, "You have very beautiful eyes, my dear."
Thank you, ma'am.
She circles around you, and, while she's circling around you, her fingers sort of stroke up your shoulder, around your neck, and she wears these multiple rings on her long fingers, these iron rings that are very cold to the touch as they touch the flesh of your skin, and again, not very comfortable. And she's getting very uncomfortably close at the moment. Do you do or say anything?
Ice, frozen.
Tell me, Cade, are you a good boy or a bad boy?
Good boy, ma'am.
I hope so. We here at the orphanage, we only raise good boys here. Very good boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Boys who do as they're told. Boys who obey.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that you will learn very quickly as you get older, Cade, is that there are good people and there are bad people. The bad people, they're a waste of space. They don't add anything to society. Dare I say, they waste the air that they breathe in.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very happy to hear that you want to be a very, very good boy. And at this point, her face is right up close to yours. Definitely not practicing social distancing at all with you.
I'm scared to look at her, and I'm scared to look away, so that it's like to her and then away, and then to her and then away.
You're trembling. Why, Cade?
I'm cold, man.
Oh, I see. It's all right. I can help you get warmer, she says. And she takes her hands and she sort of like places them on your shoulders and just starts to like rub them to try to like warm you up a little bit. Do you do anything?
Tense, a statue.
She just gives you a little bit of a grin as she, you know, takes a hand and she's just kind of stroking your head and just like petting you. And I'm just gonna fade to black right there. We don't have to go any further. Okay. That's why I was like, we have to start with this. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I
thought it was gonna go there, but I was like, oh, it's just child labor. Oh, thank God. And then I'm like, oh no, it's going there.
No.
Both.
Oh, I
Wow.
hate her so much. We have new targets.
Wow.
Whoever was next, was it Gabe or Forrest who
I
rolled?
believe it was Forrest 13.
All right, Forrest. Okay, you are 8 years old.
Ooh. Parallels.
Yeah, this is 9 years ago. You are currently at the ranch, your grandfather's ranch. Your grandfather being Nathaniel Boss. I believe you said that on this ranch you have horses, and you grow a lot of things like oats and barley and things like that to like feed the horses. And today is a very special day because right now, every year, your uncle allows the public to utilize his ranch to participate in a weekend of LARPing. And so there's people that'll be coming in ready to like get into character, they get into costumes, and a lot of the kids like to, you know, see the horses, etc., etc., etc. So I guess my question for you is, what do you see yourself doing to like help prepare to have all the people coming in and help out with this LARP weekend?
I'm not sure. Am I like the only help my grandfather has, or does
You
he
tell
hire
me.
other employees?
It doesn't matter. You tell me.
I think there'd be some close friends he may invite over, or other ranchers and whatnot, and they all get together, if you would allow it. And help is kind of strenuous, but it's not like we're not pressed to do everything at once, provided we're efficient. So if that is the case, then I think Forrest would be kind of just little panicky, running around, doing what she can. Probably tending more to the horses, getting them in their places wherever they need to be, whether it's letting them out in the pens or leading them, brushing them, feeding them. Probably nothing too manual labory, but definitely a lot of things that need to be done.
So that's a good point that you made. Forrest is not Forrest at age 8. Forrest is Amarillo.
Amarillo.
Correct. Amarillo. And so she is, like, as you said, like tending to the horses. And while you're doing that, you are starting to see some of the crowds forming. You see people coming in with wooden weapons, with foam swords, things like that. And one particular family that catches your eye, because maybe you're not really accustomed to seeing these types of people, are this, it looks like a family of Harengon. Harengons are humanoid rabbits, who are also known to have the luck of the Fae within them innately. So they're almost like D&D's leprechauns, but like in rabbit form. And so there's this family, and so they're like sort of driving up, and they've got this food truck looking thing. All right, and they're starting to set up this food truck, and you can kind of see that they seem to be selling some sort of pie looking thing. One of the Harengons notices you and will approach you actually, and watches you as you're like helping with, I guess, brushing maybe one of the horses.
Big Blue, just brushing him.
Hey, you're Nathaniel's girl.
Yes, sir. I don't think we've met. How are you? Who are you? Pardon.
Oh, the name's Thomas, he says,
Thomas.
as he holds out a hand.
And I'll accept it.
My father's a good friend of your grandfather.
Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that. He has a lot of friends around sometimes, especially when it gets to seasons like this. I'm Amarillo. It's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
Amarillo. All right. Nice to meet you. Say, I got a question for you, Amarillo.
Yeah.
So, my dad says that your grandpapa says that you're sort of musical, right? Eh?
A little.
You able to play a lute?
Has Yellow had any, or not Yellow?
I would say
Probably.
so. I would say
a little bit.
Amarillo. Yeah, a little bit.
Not a lot, but I think I may have picked it up once or twice, or yeah.
Well, according to my dad, your grandpa says you're rather gifted, so can you read music or you sort of play things by ear?
Either or. I tend to just play what's in my head.
Oh, okay. Well, was wondering if I could ask you a favor. See, one of me sisters, she's supposed to be helping us with in our band for the LARP, but you see, she's not feeling so well, so we're trying to find somebody to cover for her. You think you could temporarily help us out? I should be able to pay you a few pieces of silver for it.
As soon as you say band, Amarillo's eyes just light up in the most joyous bit of a young kid fascinated with that one subject, like dinosaurs or something, and it's just, yes, sir, I would love to. Well, what would I need to do? Maybe I should ask my grandfather first. But I don't think he should say no.
You can ask your grandfather if you want, but yeah, if you're willing to do it, my brothers and sisters would love all the help we can get.
All right, I'll go rush to him right now, and do that. And I'll kind of look around and for a peg on the wall to hang the brush on, and make sure Big Blue is tied to the railing so he doesn't run off, and trailing an arm down his flank as I run down and run out of the pin and just run as fast as I can to where Nathaniel is.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, Gabriel, you are coming into the ranch with your two kids in tow, Raphael and Angie. And you are here because you want to spend some time with your kids and do some LARPing with them. And so I would say that your son, Raphael, he's really like excited. He's really like super into this. And he's like, oh boy, Daddy, look, they're setting up all the, there's a joust over there. Oh, look. I think that they're doing a dunking tank over there too.
I know. This is great. This place is nice. What do you think, Angie?
Angie's like looking at all of the area and calculated. Looks very and she's like, it looks cool. I'm wondering if this is going to be any better than it was last year.
I mean, it was pretty good last year, right, Raph?
Oh yeah, it was. What sort of characters are we going to be? What sort of characters can we be this time?
I'm not sure. I'll let you guys decide. Although I always have my favorite one, and he pulls out like something he made himself at home. It's probably this foam spear. Of course, I brought gun gear with me, kids.
Wow, cool. Can I use gun gear this year?
I think it's a little too big for you this year, but maybe some other year.
Oh, man. All right, fine. Angie looks at her brother and says, I thought you said you wanted to be a wizard. He says, I know, but I want to be a warrior wizard. A warrior wizard would be so cool.
And that's when Gabriel kind of pulls and looks in his bag of tricks, because he makes all the stuff at home because he has like a workshop, and he goes, how about this? And then he gives like a little wand. He goes, see, warrior in one hand, wand in the other.
That's awesome. And he's gonna go and try to grab it from you.
And he gives it to him, but he gives it to, like, in the proper way, kind of hand it to someone. Because there you go, be careful.
And he's just gonna start, swinging the spear, which is, I mean, you're not really supposed to slash with a spear, but that's sort of like what he's doing. He's like swinging the spear, and Angie immediately says, Raph, you're not using it right. You're supposed to skewer things with the spear, not slash with it.
Just let him have some fun. I'll let him have some fun. I'll show him how to use the spear correctly as he does the little stance in front of them, like with a bright smile.
Raph is gonna like try to mimic you, and he's gonna try to. I mean, he's holding his spear a little bit crooked, but he's gonna attempt to. And of course, Angie is gonna like try to adjust it for him as he's trying to hold the spear down. Amarillo, you are just coming back from speaking with your grandfather because you were asking permission to join this band, and your grandfather said, "Yeah, of course, absolutely." And he confirms that Thomas's father he's a good friend of. So you're coming back, and you actually are overhearing this exchange between Gabe and his kids. Do you do anything as you're passing them by?
I think seeing young faces that she has never seen before, Amarillo will kind of approach a little bit. There's not a lot of, on other days, not a lot of people come to the ranch, especially not people with children very often. Or that's at least what I'm imagining. So this is kind of like a rare opportunity for them to talk to other people, especially other kids their age, or her age. And she'll kind of get distracted for a moment and approach just like kind of enough to be like, hey, I'm here, hi. But doesn't actually say anything, kind of letting them have their moment.
Why don't you both describe out of character what your characters look like?
Crest, or Amarillo as they are known, is this topaz and yellow-looking dragonborn, well, yellow scales, I should say. They are rather small right now. They're 8 years old. The ivory horns that are straight back, perfectly white. All the claws are perfectly white and well tailored as well. And there is there is sort of an air about them of just carefree sort of curiosity and excitement about the entire event that's going on today. And there's also like a frill like these fins that are on the side of the face, and as they move, they emote with Forest's expressions, or Yellow's, Amarillo. Wow, too many names to remember. Amarillo's expressions, and
Alright.
probably wearing rundown and ranch clothes.
Alright. Gabriel is around 20 not 20, but he's in his like mid to early 20s. I think the thing that's probably noticeable at first is he has a halo over his head. So that's there. He is like almost unnatural, like perfect, like symmetrical looks and like just glowing skin. Like it's pale, but not like the sickly kind of pale. And his hair is golden blonde. And in terms of his outfit right now, is you probably see a lot of people with like outfits that they've either made for themselves or like bought. Him and his children probably have strangely the most like ornate, flashy, but like perfectly made clothing. Like, and he's worked on this in his free time because he's really good at. And they have he even has like LEDs, the glow in certain spots. His spear gun gear actually glows a little bit too. And I assume, do I notice this kid kind of staring?
Yeah, it's obvious.
And he kind of just waves. He goes, "Hello."
Hello.
So I think right now, Amarillo is the same age as your kids, actually, because he's also 8 years old. So just to give you some context, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, he's like, "Come on," because I imagine he's seeing that. He's looking at like his two kids there more, and he's like, "Come on, don't be shy." He says, "We don't bite, right, kids?"
Raph says, "Well, not unless you take the last piece of pie." And Angie just looks like a little like annoyed by that when Raphael says that.
That only happened once, okay?
Actually, we have. I know. Tomas. They had a pie stand set up. Maybe we could go and get some.
Ooh.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
I would love some pie, Angie says. Can we get some, please, Dad? Can we, please?
I don't see no problem with it. Like I said, we kind of splurge today. Your mom's not here. He says with a smile.
Rafa says, "Yeah, splurge! Splurge!"
To the pie stand!
And yeah, Amarillo will lead the way, excitedly.
Amarillo, you can lead the way over there. And when you arrive there, Tomas is there with several of his family. And so Tomas, he's got a huge family. I mean, they're rabbits. So he's got a lot of siblings. And you can hear the mom calling out their names just to make sure that they're all like in order while they're setting up the food truck. And you hear the mom says, "Timothy, Terrence, Tucker, Todd, Talia, Tara, Tanya, Tessa, Trevor, Tracy, and Bob."
Yeah, learn from my mother. Don't name your kids the same letter. It's not fun.
Bob's the youngest, of course. "I'm here, Mom," says. Excellent. Tomas, are you ready to start our jingle? Yes. I'm ready. Oh, look. Here he is. Mom. I wanted to meet Amarillo. He's Mr. Bosk's grandson. Or granddaughter, excuse me. I keep missing it.
You're fine.
He's Mr. Bosk's granddaughter. Oh, Amarillo, dear. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for offering to help with our little jingle since Tessa's wasn't feeling very well today.
It'd be my pleasure. It's nice to meet you too.
Tomas will go over and hand you it's a very well used lute. And he'll give you some sheet music. It's not really like that complicated. It's got some basic chords, very basic chords that you can pretty much follow along. You just have to strum the chords, so it's nothing that's really like that hard, I would say, for you.
This stuff I used to warm up. I was expecting something harder.
Oh, do you say that out loud?
Sure. I didn't know it was this easy.
Confidence. I like your confidence, Amarillo. Tomas says.
Well, I've kind of done this a lot. Well, not publicly, just at home, you know. Yeah, but you said I could get payment, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll pay you a few silver pieces if you can help us with our jingle.
Could I get an advance payment in pie?
I would see. You'll have to ask me mom for that, actually. And she says, I'm sure that for Nathaniel Bosk's granddaughter, we can make an exception.
That's great. What do you guys like? And I'll turn back to the family that is following behind me.
I don't know. It looks like they only sell one type of pie here, she says. And as she says that, Tomas is starting to gather some of his brothers, Timothy, Terrence, Tucker, and Todd. They get into position.
Practice that.
And Tomas looks at Amarillo and says, all right, Amarillo, we need you to start us off.
Okay. Right. I'll just pick it up. Don't say that.
You start playing?
Yeah, I'll start playing.
Can you roll me a perform check or whatever the equivalent of a perform check would be for you?
Do I have full stats, or are there any reduced stats or anything?
What is your current what would your current perform bonus be?
Oh, it's just 4.
I'm just curious.
Just
4?
Or is this a music or a performance?
Yeah, music. Yep. If you have a music specific check, what would that be for you right now? I'm just curious.
It'd be +4.
Okay. This was, let's say it's a +2 instead of a +4 for right now.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll me a check and let me know what you get. Oh, wow.
13.
Okay.
Or wait. Oh, that was my. Oh, wow.
18. Okay. So you sort of start to strum it up, and it's got a nice beat to it. Several of the other siblings are playing some of the other music. They've got triangles, they've got what looks like a drum that you drum with your hands. And the 5 boys, Tomas, Timothy, Terrence, Tucker, and Todd, they get into position and they start doing some synchronized dancing while you're playing, and the crowd, it's starting to form a big crowd around their food truck, and the 5 of them start singing, I'm telling you tonight, right after you all done your fight, I know this will be right. Hey baby, come on, we know that you're hungry. What needs to go in your belly? So step right up, go pay and make it your own. I know that you will want some more, it ain't no lie. I wanna see you try for sure. Try some dry rye pie. Don't you want something to be cool for you? Just enough to fill you with a slice or two. Might be tasty, either boiled or fried. Dry rye pie is what they were singing. And so yeah, they're doing this whole thing. I'm not really sure how. And I think while they're doing this big choreographed song and dance, the crowd's starting to come in, very curious about this dry rye pie that they're selling. A lot of people never heard of dry rye pie. in their life. So that definitely starts to bring in a little bit of a crowd. The five of them, Timothy, Terrence, Tucker, Todd, and Tomas, they will all in unison yell out, "Take it away, Amarillo!" And now you've got this like big solo, this lute solo. You rolled an 18, so can you like describe how you get into your solo?
So as they start singing and dancing, and maybe a few other instruments are also playing with them, it starts with Amarillo beginning to play the lute and kind of looking at the music, and there's a point where they know the song, even though they've never done it before, and they kind of just throw down the music and just start playing naturally. And as the song begins to swell and there's movements and kind of just this excited jitter of just almost wanting to dance with them, but also they're playing an instrument right now. She's playing an instrument right now, so can't really do that. But as soon as the solo comes to Amarillo, it's so much more. It's like this half improv, half inspired by the actual piece, and eyes closed, just playing, not even recognizing the world around them. There's just Amarillo sitting in the attic playing an instrument, and she won't even notice like when she's supposed to be done, and she'll probably play on a little bit longer before maybe somebody will come over and get her out of her stupor.
How about Gabe? How are you reacting to all this?
I think his foot is tapping to the beat, and like I said, I imagine like he's clapping near the end, and then when he sees Perez kind of just going all natural, he kind of just smiles, and he kind of just goes, "Well, that's some that's some natural talent right there." And he kind of looks at his kids and goes, "What do you guys think?"
The kid says, "I think we want some pie right now." Oh yeah.
That's the power of advertisement right there, kids.
The kids will, push you to get in line. By this point, the crowd's starting to, line up to try some of this dry rye pie, and well, you were there, so you can get like ahead of the crowd, and you'll buy a slice, and it's actually really tasty. So you're probably used to like fruit pies, so it's a really interesting like flavor where it sort of has a almost like a beer-like kind of flavor to it, which you might think might be off-putting for kids, but there's just something about it that's sort of almost like a beer sourdoughy type of flavor, but it's also got this like very interesting like crusty outer shell, but the inner parts is almost like chewy in a way. So it's almost like I'm not sure if you've had a shoe fly pie before, but it's a pie that's filling sort of like with molasses, and it's really gooey and gooey. So it sort of feels like that in texture, but with a very like dry, crusty like crust. So it's really interesting. I'm not gonna tell you it's the best pie you've ever had, but it's definitely the most unique pie that you've ever tasted.
So is there a tip jar there?
Yeah.
So I assume my wealth status is reduced somewhat because this is a little time in the past. So I'm not at 3, maybe it's reduced by 2. So I'm at like rank 2, which is still pretty up there instead of rank 3. So I'm going to. So it looks like he puts like a 1 or 2, like 2 $1 bills in there, but he actually splits his 2 $100 bills in between it. So it looks like at first he puts like $4 in there, okay, but it's actually secretly putting in $202 in there.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. You'll put that in the tip jar, and like I will say that Trevor, who is looking at or I'll say Tracy, who's looking at the trip jar, their eyes go wide, and they'll say, "Wow, thank you, mister."
Hey, that's why I work hard for, so I can give back. So I can give back to people, to my kids, and of course the people that make this delicious pie. He takes a bite and he gives like a slice to his kids.
The kids will try it. Angie will chew on it and she said, "This is really good." Raphael will take a bite too, and he'll sort of make a little bit of a sour face, and he's like, "It's okay."
You like your mother's cooking better, I assume.
And he says, "Yeah." I says, "I think mommy makes better pie than this." And Angie's like, "Shh." She's like trying to shush Raphael. She says, "Raph, that's so rude."
Yeah, remember, Andy, it's all based off everyone's taste buds. It's not. As long as you say it in not a rude way, it's fine to say stuff like that.
Right after the performance, Tomas will go up to you, Amarillo, and he'll sort of give you a 5-5. You did not disappoint at all, my friend.
I don't know where that came from. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Can I have my payment now?
Oh yes, of course. He'll give you a few silver pieces as well as a slice of dry rye pie.
There's a moment where it looks like Amarillo may kind of object to the silver, but and just pockets it anyway, and just a secondary thanks, and then happily eats the pie.
Yeah.
And you said it was like a bourbony taste.
Yeah, it's a little hoppy in flavor because it's made by Rabbit, so of course it's hoppy. And yeah.
I think Yellow or Amarillo. Wow, a lot of names. Amarillo will enjoy the flavor. Might be one of her favorites, and she'll kind of go over to the other children that she kind of bonded with first, and just mouthful of pie. This is so good. I think Amarillo just wants to make some friends. She doesn't get a lot of opportunity to do that, so it'll mostly just be RP with getting to know the children. Not necessarily you yourself, unfortunately, but Amarillo isn't interested in really old people. So.
I think Gabriel would at least ask if Amarillo wants to actually like play with him, and because he has all this extra equipment that he has made himself, and he's willing to be like, "Oh yeah, you can have one of these things and like join the kids in the game."
Yeah, sure. So I guess Angie will say, "What character are you gonna play for the LARP, Amarillo?"
I don't know. I typically just play myself because I help out with like doing the horses and everything, but a character.
Yourself? You can't play yourself. That's boring, Angie says.
Why not?
Well, what's the point in playing pretend if you're just gonna pretend to be yourself?
Well, maybe I'm myself, but better.
Angie thinks about that a little bit. Like, better in what ways?
Maybe you're stronger or faster or smarter. I don't know. It was just a thought. I've never really played like that before.
I'm going to be Zeminar, the greatest wizard of them all, the greatest warrior wizard. Yeah. And he's like, again, slashing with gun gear, and then trying to poke people with the wand. And Angie's like, "You have it backwards. You're supposed to poke people with the sword and wave the wand." And says, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Not listening. Not listening. And Angie's looking really ticked off right now. And she's probably has like what looks like a foam mallet of some sort. And she's just gonna go run after and chase after her brother, like trying to like bop him with the mallet.
Gabriel is going to go to his like little bags, he calls his bags of tricks, and he goes, I think I got some. We don't have a ranged person, so, and he takes out like crossbows and has like foam like Nerf like bolts, and he has like two of them. He goes, here, you can.
Okay.
And he kind of shows you how to fire and release.
That's weird. Oh crap.
Yeah, you'll fire a dart and it'll like bounce off on a tree branch, ricochet over, and it'll probably like hit one of the horses like in the butt, like in the behind, and the horse just goes and like maybe accidentally like kicks over one of the tables that had a batch of the dry rye pie, and I'm gonna say that Tomas's dad gasps and says, oh, "No, our pies!"
That was either the best shot or the worst shot I've ever seen, kid.
I didn't do it either, Angie says, and they put their fingers on their nose.
I'll quickly give the crossbow back to him and be like, man, that was a really good shot. I didn't do it either, and just run off.
And Gabe just takes it and he goes, thank you. And he takes he basically takes the blame for it.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. All right. So, yeah, you'll do you offer to like pay for the
yeah.
Okay, you offer to pay for like the ingredients that fell over
yeah.
To
He's like,
Tomas's
how
father.
He's like, how much?
Yeah.
And he pulls out and he has like a wad of cash with him.
Wow.
And he's just like, oh, how much is it? And if whoever he asks, he gives a little bit more for like trouble.
Okay. Very, very cool. Sweet. So you'll offer to pay for everything. The father is very grateful of trying to make up for what you did. I guess the kids will just start, trying to play with Amarillo.
I think after that, Amarillo will actually not want to play. I think she will immediately just go somewhere quiet and just kind of, I did that, and just like freak out for a little bit. She's not somebody who has ever really gotten in trouble before, and it's the first time that something like that has happened.
Gabe, you'll notice that Amarillo's off looking upset,
and he's kind of gonna. So, like, where do you think you're hiding?
I don't think I'd run back to the attic. I'd say there's probably like a tree, like an apple tree or something, that grows in the yard, and sometimes people go over and pick some, even though it's not really season yet. They're not really ripe. I'm not actually sure what season it is.
Will you be up the tree, like on the branch?
It's just on the opposite side of the tree from where all the action is, and just sitting against it and just panicking.
So seeing that, Gabriel like looks around and he sprouts his ethereal wings that are big, but they face like through objects, and he kind of like flies up and he goes like on one of the big branches and he goes, "Are you all right, kid?" And he kind of just looks down. And now you see him with his like beautiful like glowing wings.
Yeah. Oh, may I go stand Kuva? So, he's just surprised me. 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 He's I'm fine. Thanks.
I thought you wanted to go play.
Maybe I shouldn't. Especially
Why?
if that can happen.
It's a little mistake. Every kid's make mistakes. Look at my kids right now. They're making some mistakes, as you probably look at Rav with his weapons kind of swinging the wrong way. He goes, it's all an accident.
And Yellow or Amarillo will look up at this angelic-looking figure in the tree that is now staring down at them. Wings out and halo above the head and everything. And there is definitely a moment where a calm comes over them, over her, pardon. And there's almost a moment where it all leaves her head. A lot of the anxiety of talking to people, but also the anxiety of, oh, I messed up big time. And all right. Sorry, caused trouble. I didn't mean to.
It's all right. We all caused some trouble as a kid, intentional or not. It's how growing up happens.
Okay.
The only thing you gotta worry about is going out and having some fun. So why don't, and he takes out the crossbow again, why don't we try this one more time?
All right. Take it and give a nod, and at this moment you will hear in your head, there's no verbal, just a thank you. And Amarillo will turn and run off to play with your kids.
All right, and I think Gabe just kind of stays on the branch, close enough to hear them, but he's watching them just have fun.
Awesome seeing you too.